It's the night of November 26, 2008. The city of Mumbai is winding down. Traffic flows steadily along Marine Drive, and thousands of residents and tourists are settling in for a quiet evening. But just off the coast, slipping undetected past maritime security, a small inflatable dinghy approaches the fishing colony at Bodwar Park. 10 heavily armed men step ashore, dividing their gear in the shadows. This stealthy arrival was the culmination of a highly sophisticated plot drafted miles away in Pakistan. Extremist leaders like Abu Jandal, Tahawar Rana, and Hafiz Saeed spent months building the logistical engine and the blueprint for a mass casualty attack. To execute that blueprint, they needed recruits with nothing to lose. They found them in youths like Ajmal Kasab. Raised in severe poverty in a small village, Kasab dropped out of school by the 4th grade. Facing a life of intense struggle, his own father introduced him to the Lashkar-e-Taiba terror group, trading his son for a payout and a promise of respect for the family. Kasab and a handful of other recruits were sent to a remote training camp in Mansehra. For months, they underwent grueling combat preparation and severe religious brainwashing. They were conditioned to suppress their humanity and view mass murder as a sacred duty. The architects of this plot weaponized systemic poverty and manipulated faith. They preyed on vulnerable youth and forged them into a highly trained death squad, ready to be deployed as disposable tools for violence. Once they hit the shores of Bodwar Park, the 10 men split into pairs and vanished into the city. They fanned out across South Mumbai on a coordinated timeline, heading straight for the city's most crowded, iconic locations to maximize the body count. At 9:30 p.m., the first major strike hit the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus. Kasab and his partner Ismail walked into the crowded passenger hull. Between them, they carried 16 hand grenades and fully loaded AK-47s. They opened fire on the waiting crowds without hesitation. Sadasiv, a man dropping off a friend, was struck in the face and suffered permanent nerve damage. Poonam Singh, waiting for a train with her family, was shot in the stomach and survived only by playing dead. A bullet tore right through the leg of 9-year-old Devika Rotawan. Within minutes, the violence erupted across the city. Gunfire shattered the atmosphere at the Leopold Casse, killing 10 people. Simultaneously, heavily armed teams breached the luxury Oberoi Trident and the historic Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. As police scrambled to understand the scale of the assault, ordinary citizens stepped up. In Kolaba, a shoe shop owner pulled panicked fleeing foreigners off the street and locked them inside his store, converting it into a makeshift sanctuary. Inside the Taj, hotel chefs and kitchen staff guided guests through back corridors and service elevators. Several of these workers stood between the attackers and the guests, giving their own lives to ensure the people in their care could escape. A sudden, military-grade assault had paralyzed the city's infrastructure. In that void, waiters, shopkeepers, and bystanders acted without hesitation. Their spontaneous compassion provided a direct counterweight to the attackers' clinical brutality. The horror even reached the maternity wards of Kama Hospital. As 2 terrorists stalked the corridors, the medical staff moved heavy steel beds to barricade the doors. Nurses pulled IV lines and breathing tubes off patients so they could hide in absolute silence. In the middle of this standoff, life pushed back. As gunfire echoed right outside the barricaded doors, doctors successfully delivered a baby girl. The hospital staff nicknamed her Goli, the Hindi word for bullet. Outside, the police counteroffensive was taking a heavy toll. Top officers, including anti-terrorism squad chief Hemant Karkare, Ashok Kamte, and Vijay Salaskar, were killed in an ambush by Kasab and Ismail. Fleeing that ambush in the hijacked car, the 2 terrorists ran into a police barricade. Sub-Inspector Tukaram Omble lunged at Kasab, physically gripping the barrel of his rifle. Omble absorbed a lethal volley of bullets, but he held on long enough for his team to capture Ajmal Kasab alive. Omble's final act destroyed the mastermind's core strategy. By securing the sole surviving attacker, he handed India the living proof it needed to trace the terror network directly back to Pakistan. After 60 hours, the National Security Guard neutralized the final attackers. The smoke finally cleared over the Taj, revealing a toll of 166 people dead and more than 350 injured. In police custody, Kassab's radical conditioning shattered. When he realized he was going to face execution and that his handlers had used him as a disposable pawn, he broke down crying, exposing the hollow nature of the glory he had been promised. Kassab was tried and executed, but the legal battles continue. India is actively pushing for the extradition of Tawawa Rana, one of the key logistics who helped orchestrate the massacre from abroad. The survivors are still waiting. Devika Rotawan, the 9-year-old shot at the train station, grew up to stand in court and identify Kassab. Today, she demands that men like Rana face the ultimate punishment for the childhood they stole from her. The city's memory is now carried by those who lived through it. They return to the same stations and hotels, rebuilding their lives while holding candlelit vigils to ensure those 166 names are never forgotten. The planners expected a weekend of chaos to leave Mumbai in a state of permanent retreat. In the years since, the city's residents have returned to their docks and stations, while survivors like Devika have spent over a decade ensuring the names of the masterminds are recorded in open court.